Starting at level 1, we have the petty bullies. Characters like Troy Walsh and James from Season 1. These are garden variety school bullies who pick on kids like Dustin for having no front teeth or Mike for being a freak. What makes them level 1 villains? Their evil is small scale and personal. Troy threatens to break Dustin's teeth, calls the party losers, and generally makes their school life miserable. But here's the thing, his motivations are purely social hierarchy. He's not trying to end the world or gain supernatural power. He's just a kid drunk on the tiny bit of power that comes from being bigger and meaner than other kids. The brilliance of including these level 1 villains is that they ground the show in reality. Before we dive into interdimensional monsters, we're reminded that for kids like Mike, Lucas, Dustin, and Will, the everyday cruelty of bullies can feel just as threatening as any Demogorgon. When you're 12 years old, the fear of being humiliated in front of your peers can be absolutely paralyzing. Troy represents the most human level of evil, the kind that stems from insecurity, social pressure, and the desperate need to feel superior to someone, anyone. He's not irredeemable, he's not calculating, he's just mean. And sometimes that's enough to make someone a villain. Level 2. The institutional bullies. Moving up to level 2, we encounter the institutional bullies. Characters like Angela from Season 4. Now, Angela operates on a different level than Troy because she's not just randomly cruel, she's systematically cruel, and she has the social infrastructure to back up her cruelty. Angela doesn't just call 11 names, she orchestrates elaborate humiliation campaigns. She gets her friends involved. She records 11's breakdown at the roller rink. She turns bullying into a performance, complete with an audience and documentation. This is bullying as social terrorism. What elevates Angela to level 2 is her calculated nature. She doesn't just lash out in anger like Troy might. She plans her attacks. She savors them. When she pours that milkshake on 11, she's not just being mean, she's asserting dominance in front of a crowd, cementing her social status by destroying someone else's dignity. Angela represents the kind of evil that thrives in systems, school hierarchies, social media, anywhere there's an audience to witness and validate cruelty. She's what happens when bullying becomes institutionalized, when it stops being about individual meanness and starts being about social control. The scary thing about level 2 villains like Angela is that they often don't see themselves as villains at all. In their minds, they're just maintaining the natural order. They're popular. 11 is weird, and therefore 11 deserves what she gets. It's a twisted form of social Darwinism that makes their cruelty feel justified to them. Level 3. The Misguided Zealots. Level 3 brings us to the Misguided Zealots, and our prime example is Jason Carver from Season 4. Jason is fascinating because he genuinely believes he's the hero of his own story. When his girlfriend Chrissy dies, he doesn't just grieve, he goes on a crusade. Jason sees the supernatural chaos in Hawkins and interprets it through the lens of 1980 satanic panic. To him, Eddie Munson and his Hellfire Club aren't just playing Dungeons & Dragons. They're actual devil worshippers responsible for the murders plaguing the town, and in Jason's mind, that makes him a righteous warrior fighting against the forces of darkness. What makes Jason a level 3 villain is that his evil comes from a place of genuine belief. He's not cruel for cruelty's sake like Angela, and he's not insecure like Troy. He's convinced he's doing the right thing, which makes him incredibly dangerous. When you believe you're fighting evil, you can justify almost anything. Jason rallies the town into a mob. He breaks into homes. He holds Lucas at gunpoint. He destroys Max's Walkman, directly contributing to her near-death experience. But in his mind, he's protecting the community from a satanic cult. The road to hell, as they say, is paved with good intentions. Level 3 villains like Jason are terrifying because they can't be reasoned with. You can't appeal to their better nature because they think they're already acting from their better nature. They're immune to empathy because they've convinced themselves that their targets aren't worthy of empathy. Jason doesn't see Eddie as a scared teenager. He sees him as a servant of Satan. Level 4. The Corrupt Authority Figures. At Level 4, we have the Corrupt Authority Figures, exemplified by Colonel Sullivan from Season 4. Sullivan represents institutional evil, the kind that comes with badges, uniforms, and official government backing. Sullivan isn't motivated by personal grudges or misguided beliefs. He's motivated by what he sees as national security. When teenagers start dying in Hawkins, he doesn't see a supernatural threat. He sees 11 as a weapon that's gone rogue. And his solution is simple: eliminate the threat. What makes Sullivan a level 4 villain is his cold, bureaucratic approach to evil. He doesn't torture people because he enjoys it. He tortures them because it's efficient. He doesn't hunt down 11 because he hates her. He hunts her down because she's a problem that needs to be solved. His evil is systematic, methodical, and backed by the full power of the United States government. Sullivan orders raids on safe houses. He tortures agents for information. He gives the order to shoot and kill 11, a teenage girl, without hesitation. But he does it all with the calm professionalism of someone who's convinced he's serving the greater good. The horror of level 4 villains like Sullivan is that they turn evil into a job. They bureaucratize cruelty. They make atrocities feel routine. Sullivan doesn't need to be angry or passionate or even particularly invested in the outcome. He just needs to follow orders and complete his mission. Level 5. The Corrupted Souls. Level 5 introduces us to the Corrupted Souls. People who were once good but have been twisted by external forces. Billy Hargrove is our prime example here, especially in Season 3 when he becomes the Mind Flayer's vessel. Billy starts as what seems like a level 2 or 3 villain, an abusive stepbrother who terrorizes Max and fights Steve. But Season 3 reveals the tragedy of his character. Billy isn't evil because he wants to be. He's evil because he's been shaped by abuse, racism, and trauma. His father's violence created a cycle that Billy perpetuates. When the Mind Flayer possesses Billy, it doesn't create his capacity for violence, it amplifies and directs it. The Mind Flayer turns Billy into its vessel, using his existing anger and pain as a foundation for something much worse. Possessed Billy lures people to their deaths, builds the flesh monster from melted humans, and nearly kills 11. What makes Billy a level 5 villain is that his evil is both chosen and imposed. He makes cruel choices, but those choices are shaped by forces beyond his control. His abusive upbringing, his possession by an interdimensional entity. He's simultaneously a victim and a perpetrator. The tragedy of level 5 villains like Billy is that they retain enough of their humanity to suffer. When Billy breaks through the Mind Flayer's control in his final moments, we see his pain, his regret, his desperate desire to be better than what he became. His last act is one of sacrifice, protecting 11 and the others from the Mind Flayer. Billy represents the thin line between victim and villain, showing us how trauma and external manipulation can corrupt even those who might have been good under different circumstances. Level 6. The Calculating Masterminds. At level 6 we encounter the Calculating Masterminds, and our primary example is Dr. Martin Brenner, also known as Papa. Brenner represents pure, calculated evil disguised as scientific progress and paternal care. Brenner didn't stumble into evil or get corrupted by external forces. He chose it, methodically and deliberately. He stole children from their families, erased their identities, and subjected them to psychological and physical torture, all in the name of creating psychic weapons for the government. What makes Brenner a level 6 villain is his complete lack of empathy combined with his intelligence and resources. He's not driven by passion like Jason or corrupted like Billy. He's driven by curiosity and ambition. To him, the children in his care aren't human beings. They're test subjects, experiments, tools to be used and discarded. Brenner calls himself Papa and genuinely seems to believe he cares for his subjects, but his version of care is possessive and controlling. He doesn't want what's best for 11. He wants what's best for his research. When she disobeys, he punishes her. When she succeeds, he pushes her harder. The horror of Brenner is that he's created an entire system of abuse and convinced himself it's love. He's built a laboratory that looks like a home, staffed it with people who call themselves family, and used it to torture children. He's turned evil into an institution and abuse into a methodology. Level 6 villains like Brenner are terrifying because they're so good at what they do. They're intelligent, resourceful, and completely committed to their goals. They don't make mistakes born of passion or lose control due to corruption. They plan, they execute, and they adapt. Level 7. The Cosmic Horrors. Finally, at level 7, we reach the Cosmic Horrors, entities so alien and powerful that they transcend human understanding of good and evil. At the top of this level sits Vecna, also known as Henry Creel, and 1. Vecna isn't just evil, he's the source of evil in the Stranger Things universe. He's the one who opened the first gate to the Upside Down. He's the one who created the Mind Flayer. He's the puppet master behind every supernatural threat the characters have faced. What makes Vecna a level 7 villain is his scope and his alien nature. He doesn't want money or power or recognition. He wants to remake reality itself. He sees the current world as fundamentally flawed and believes the only solution is to tear it down and rebuild it in his image. Vecna's evil is both deeply personal and cosmically vast. He targets his victims based on their trauma and guilt, psychologically torturing them before killing them. But his ultimate goal isn't just to kill individuals, it's to merge the Upside Down with the real world, creating a new reality where he rules as a god. The Mind Flayer operating under Vecna's control represents pure predatory intelligence. It doesn't hate humanity. It simply sees humans as resources to be consumed or tools to be used. It turns people into extensions of itself, creating a hive mind dedicated to spreading its influence. Level 7 villains like Vecna and the Mind Flayer are terrifying because they operate on a scale that makes human concerns irrelevant. They don't care about our politics, our relationships, our hopes and dreams. We're not even enemies to them. We're just obstacles to be removed or materials to be repurposed.